And now the story of a blue hedgehog in a sitcom that lost everything that made them special to begin with. And how, through an attempt to recreate magic, they fell into what is literally arrested development. It was June 23rd, 1991. It was also November 2nd, 2003. Not at the same time, mind you. In fact, we need to start slightly earlier. Video games were dominated by a Japanese-born Italian-American plumber named Mario and his friends at the Nintendo company. They had taken their basic formula of get to the right and hit the thing to near perfection with Super Mario 3 on the Nintendo Entertainment System, aka the Famicom.
Mr. F.
Meanwhile, a Tokyo-based competitor was struggling to keep pace with the Red Company, and to compete, they'd have to bring something entirely different to a fan base that wasn't necessarily asking for anything else. The Blue Company started an aggressive marketing campaign to sell more of its new system, called the Sega Genesis in America and the Sega Mega Drive, by packing in a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Plus, they have a very aggressive slogan.
Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, the Blue Company decided to throw all wheels in the garbage and instead built a rocket monster in red sneakers. They rewrote the rules for what a side-scrolling platformer could be, and the future was a blur of blue. The situation comedy, or sitcom, had spent nearly half a century resting in their laurels, with staples like scheduled laughter, predictable linear stories, and jokes that were starting to become not really jokes.
Isn't this a woman's hat? Dude, stop talking crazy and make us some tea.
While single-camera comedies without laugh tracks are common now, they weren't the standard in 2003. There were, of course, exceptions, but comedic TV in 2003 was dominated by shows like Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, and King of Queens. Sidebar. All my fellow millennials, step into my mood room. Okay, yes, I'm contrasting single-camera wit with multicam canned laughter paint-by-numbers programming.
But I don't watch TV at 3 in the afternoon.
But we can't look down our noses as if our dumb funny stuff is somehow superior to their dumb funny stuff.
Stupid!
Us and them speak as childish AF, and people like what they like, so enjoy what you enjoy. It was in this comedic climate that Ron Howard said he wanted a mockumentary-style sitcom with quick wit and elaborate writing. Mitch Hurwitz pitched some ideas for a riches-to-rags story, and the rest, as they say, is the story of a wealthy family who lost everything, and the one son who had no choice
but to keep them all together.
The future was a blur of Bluth. It was June 23rd, 1991. It was also November 2nd, 2003. Not at the same time, mind you. After strolling through the chill, thoughtful, meticulously crafted levels as an easy-to-please Mario, gamers met Sonic, an impatient, snarky blue protagonist in Nikes that moves like a roller coaster just at a line before lighting the missiles on his turbocharged V12 made of nitrous, and then pushes the little red button. Approaching the speed of sound, here come the boom, and then BAM! He hits a fish. Gamers felt like they were on the ground floor of the future. Sonic the Hedgehog is a class act all the way. Boogeyman. GamePro, June 1991. Sonic the Hedgehog is streets ahead of every game currently available, and I, for one, am looking forward to the further adventures of this garden-trashing little tinker. Paul Rand.
I don't know who that is, and I don't care to find out.
And having been written, performed, and edited at what was, at times, blink and you miss at breakneck speed, Arrested Development set itself apart from its contemporaries. And it, too, had a snarky Bluth protagonist.
I don't care.
These pacing issues would be the downfall of most other media, but Sonic and AD wore them like a badge of honor. They weren't fast at the detriment of their execution, nor fast for fast's sake alone, but the pacing was part of what gave them their unique identity. While blink and you miss it may sound stressful at first, it's actually a comfort knowing that next time, and the time after that, and after that, you'll always be discovering something new. But it wouldn't always be the case, as their latter iterations would struggle to keep up with the Most of the levels in Sonic and most of the scripts in AD are so elaborately crafted that you aren't even meant to take it all in one run. We do not enjoy a story fully at first reading, not to the curiosity, the sheer narrative lust has been given its sop and laid asleep, are we at leisure to savor the real beauties. C.S. Lewis.
I don't know who that is, and I don't care to find out.
Sonic the Hedgehog was an instant classic, and the early 90s saw continued hits with Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. But after that, Sonic games started to become more hit and miss. And starting in 1998 with Sonic Adventure, the series joined its contemporary counterparts with 3D graphics, voice acting, and more intricate plots.
Oh yeah! This is happening!
Yeah, it wasn't.
Listen, this birdie seems to be in trouble, so you need to be his bodyguard for a while.
You don't really get nature, do you?
Arrested Development became a cult classic and won critical acclaim.
My wife, Mary Jo, encouraged me and said, only through struggle can you have success, so I just wanted to share that with you. And not my wife, I want to share. We're not into that. I want to say, Ron Howard had this creative vision of doing a show that was single camera. I'd like to sing this now, if I may.
And the Emmy goes to Joe Russo and Anthony Russo. Arrested Development pilot.
Arrested Development!
But despite great critical acclaim throughout all 3 seasons, their numbers just couldn't compete.
This is so huge for us. Thank you. You know what? Let's watch it. You want to? There's like...
In the following years, and with the burgeoning DVD and streaming market, the show continually gained a bigger and bigger following. And seemingly out of the blue, Netflix announced they were getting into original content, and one of their first projects was picking up Arrested Development right where it left off. Except it had been, like, 7 years. Fantastic pace of the original entries. Sonic, for example, would go on to pad out his 3D experience with other playable characters that were, and there's no other way of saying this, a little slow. Fans of the series began to feel like the creators had lost touch with what people enjoyed about the games.
Jesus! The wolf! That is the wolf! The wolf is upstairs!
But while these characters began physically slowing down the games, a far more sinister beast began sucking up fun.
Wait for it.
Until fun was nearly gone while the beast became so bloated it could hardly contain itself. That beast is, in fact,
It's never funny.
story. Starting with Season 4 of Arrested Development and Sonic Adventure, both series began to suffer from major story bloat.
Distance from the company.
I'm actually going to say that we should keep from the DA, but can you tell me why?
We have no product and we're $2 million in debt.
Won the election,
Next
and
welcome
now,
home
for
party is
whatever
going to be for
reason,
us.
supports building the wall. We need to come up with $2 million.
This company, for one co-president. What's next? You're going to want one of my parking spaces, Michael?
I didn't know that I was co-president myself.
And that's from one episode. Then there's the Sonic stories.
Heed my voice. Sonic, come back. To me. To us.
I ache with embarrassment.
I'm obsessed with this.
So what's to be done? It can be argued that Sonic started to drift away when he lost a home on Sega systems, and Arrested Development died when it lost its home on Fox. They never really recovered from that. That's not to say they were never any good again. AD had some good moments.
Hey, I met a girl today, and her name is...
And Sonic had some good games. But each started with 3 iconic entries that absolutely redefined what their respective mediums were capable of. All the efforts past that have been an attempt to recreate perfection, but instead, it's chipped away at our memory of masterful works of art. Should they have stayed the same and never taken risks? I don't know. But they wouldn't exist if they never did. After all, being different was what made them great to begin with. There's too much art to be made and too much talent to be wasted. I say let your good work stand on its own, and then move forward, and be someone's hero today. On the next episode of The Classy Gamesman. An underappreciated show from the early 20-teens and an appropriately appreciated game from 1993 share more than one special connection.
Aladdin.
You know what? Let's watch it.
Tails, where are you, little bro?
Hi, Sonic. What you looking for?
Well, you didn't tell me where you were going. I was worried about you.
That's why you always leave a note.